Okay.
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Panchadashi, chapter 1, verse number 30. So we saw that as long as we have not got the knowledge of our own essential nature, which is we do not have pratyak bodha, then we are the individual, the jiva. If we have pratyak bodha, then there is no presence of jiva. You become the atma, you become the self. You are not become, you are the self. So you may say, I know I am the self, but are you abiding in it right now? Are you living as a person who is abiding in the self? We have enough biographies, enough stories, enough books. Gita chapter 2, in this also, every chapter somewhere, how the Mahatmas are, what are their, how do they come across. Just before, in somewhere we saw that the realized master lives like a child, lives like a drunkard, lives like a ghost, balavat, unmattamat, unmattavat, pishachavat. So, are we finding ourselves to be in that position? Or are we still thinking, am I in that position right now? If this question is coming, understand you are still an individual. So don't, oh, have I got there yet? I think I am there. Understand you are still an individual. So don't fool yourself. So such a person who is having doubt about his own essential nature, meaning he who has not come to be abiding in his own essential nature as himself, such a person is called a jiva. Such a person is extroverted in his expression. He is not abiding. And therefore, what is the life story of this jiva who has so externalized his vision that he is unable to see the pratyak bodha within himself? What is his life story? Even though, see, I is the same. Whether you call it small I, whether you call it total I, whether you call it the infinite I is the same. Whether you call water a wave, small I, whether you call water an ocean, the total I, or you call water as water, infinite I. All three are water alone. So whether you call yourself as individual I, the small I, whether you call yourself as the total I, which is equal to the Lord, or you call yourself as infinite I still is the same. What position are you taking? Are you taking the individual I position? Individual I is identified only with this body. The total I is identified with the total body. Infinite I is disidentified with everything. It is the only thing that there is. And therefore, it cannot be called as infinite I also. Then who is calling it infinite I? The one who is conditioned, the one who is having a mind. So understand in this way. Come to the 30th verse. कुर्वते कर्म भोगाय कुर्वते कर्म भोगाय कर्म कर्तुं च भुञ्जते कर्तुं च भुञ्जते नद्यां कीटा इवावर्तात् नद्यां कीटा इवावर्तात् आवर्तां तरमाशुते आवर्तान्तरमाशुते व्रजन्तो जन्मनो जन्म जर्जन्तो जन्मनो जन्म लभन्ते नैव निर्वृत्तिं लभन्ते नैव निवृत्तिम् कुर्वते कर्म भोगाय कर्म कर्तुम च भुंजते नद्याम like what like nadyam kita ivavartad avartataram ashute. So the jiva engages himself in action for getting enjoyments and does actions for enjoyment both. He gets involved in the world for the sake of enjoyment and he wants enjoyment out of the world also. They soon after get lost in the rebirth from one birth to the another, like an insect fallen into a river is swept from one whirlpool to another. Whirlpool here, if you go to the Yara river, sometimes you can see. But if you go to Gangaji, everywhere you will see whirlpools. Just stand on the bank, even if you are not dipping in. But you can see so many whirlpools, small, 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 and sometimes you can see some insect, sometimes a leaf, sometimes something floating on the water. Suddenly it gets zzz, and suddenly it comes out and again gets caught up in the next one, and it keeps going down the river. See? And that is what is being told. But why is this fellow, this insect is going from one whirlpool to the other? It's like us going from one depression to the next. Or for one moment we are very, very excited and happy, next moment we are depressed and sad. Then again we are excited and happy, again we are Yahoo! Another whirlpool. Oh, this one is not very deep, I am really going to come out of it. And suddenly you are thrown out into a deeper one. Then the next one is very shallow, hardly, it's just forming. Oh, thank God, thank God. So all our joys and sorrows of life are all basically born out of misery only. What is that misery? Extrovertedness. Identification with this body. All joy sorrows are because of that. So, the jiva performs action for the sake of enjoyment, then because of the karma one suffers again and again, and so the cycle goes on. And here it is told that vrajanto janmano janma labante naiva nivritim, and he does not get nivritti, he is not able to get away, he is not able to become free from the cycle of birth after death, birth and death and birth and death. So if the fact that you are here right now is because you are still in one whirlpool. You can take the vision, you can take the thought as a whirlpool, an idea as a whirlpool, you can take this body as a whirlpool, you can take your whole life as a whirlpool. This life from birth to death is one whirlpool. So depends where your vision is, in what angle you are looking at the whole thing. So one whirlpool after another we are going by and complaining and getting excited and are not able to shoot out of. Just like when we are living on the earth, and the reason, even if the earth is upside down at the bottom, Australia is at the bottom of the earth, we should fall off the planet, no? But we don't feel that we are hanging upside down. Do you feel? Any part of the planet, everyone is feeling that they are walking on the planet, straight, on a flat land. The earth is nowhere flat, it is all curved. It's a complete sphere. But you are feeling, what is keeping you there? Gravity. But then I don't feel that I have to hold the ground, otherwise I'll fly away. See? Now if you want to fly away, then what do you require? What do you require? You want a critical energy in order which can cancel the gravitational pull, isn't it? So if a plane is taking off, it needs a certain speed in order to take off from the ground. If a rocket wants to leave the gravitation of the earth and go into the outer space, it needs a certain speed, a certain thrust. A normal plane does not have that thrust. A rocket, that's why those big power booster engines, solid fuel, which can give it the thrust that it can go beyond the gravitational pull of the earth and into the outer space. Even after going into outer space, still the gravity keeps the rocket in the orbit. So it will require even more thrust, like those orbs which are going to Mars or to Moon, wherever. See? So the thrust is required. And what is the thrust that we need in order to get out of this body identification? What is the thrust that we need? Think. Yes. We need the thrust, the energy, the power, the inspiration, the inner strength that we need to get out of this gravity that I am only this body. Thought is the contemplation on the truth alone, or contemplation on the Lord alone. Only that thought has enough power to take you out of body identification. By yourself, I'm not the body, I'm not the body. How long will you do it? It will not be permanent. Come little bit this side or this side, so she can also see.
I can see.
Okay. Ah. So such people who are living in their daily life unaware of what their real nature is, are like the insects who are moving from one whirlpool to another. So we go from one relationship to another. We go from one life to next life. We go from one country to another country. We go from one house to another house. We go from one breakfast to the next lunch. All whirlpools. Open up your vision. You will find everywhere there is only a whirlpool. Don't get depressed. Yahoo! I'm going to swim through all of them. And there is no other choice but to swim through them. Isn't it? When lunch comes, you will feel hungry. And you will have to go and cook and eat something. In this way, the jiva migrates from one life to another in an endless cycle of birth and death. There is no redemption. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. From one womb to the next womb. From then, come out from there in the next one. All that will depend upon what karmas you have done in this life. So, Acha, you have told us that this is our lot. Is there a way out? We appreciate you telling us where we are. Is there a way out?
Of course.
Satkarma paripakate, Satkarma paripakate, Karunanidhino dhrutaha, Karunanidhino dhrutaha, Prapyati rataruchhayam, Prapyati rataruchhayam, Vishramyanti yatha sukham, Vishramyanti yatha sukham. Satkarma paripakate. Satkarma is good deeds, good karmas that you have done sometime in your life, not necessarily in this life. I don't know, it is the Lord's grace that I came across this satsang. It is Lord's grace that I had such parents. It is the God's grace that I became I went on the spiritual path. You know where? After coming to Australia. Not in India. India, I was only worried about how to get the next meal. Come to Australia, I became a sannyasi. You know, God's grace. What is this? That will come. But it is sat karma paripakate. Paripaka is when cooked, fully cooked, when matured, when your sat karma, when your good deeds mature. When do they mature? At the right time, at the right place. You cannot decide when they are going to mature. You don't know which desire is going to appear in your mind. See? No, I don't eat samosas at all. Because you are not in the environment. If you get into the environment of a sweet shop and their gulab jamun is there, so pizza is there, samosas are there, pani puri is there, papdi chaat is there. Why you are telling that right now, you know? Ice cream is there. Ice cream also. That's already fixed. Huh? So the moment we come into the environment, suddenly there was no thought of having a samosa or thought of having the sweet meat. But the moment you come into that environment, suddenly that desire erupts. And you find that, no, I must try that. So, why did it come up? It's not necessarily only when you are in that environment. Something triggers it off to come up. Sometimes it's the environment which triggers it off. Sometimes the mental space is such that the desire erupts and then makes the body go in that direction. Isn't it? So similarly, these good deeds, whatever you have done in your life, whatever that insect, some good deeds in his past life he must have done. He must have caught some other insect and forgotten to eat it. So good karma. Huh? So suddenly, while it was going from one whirlpool to the other, suddenly he finds that someone on the banks puts a stick into the water, and he finds that stick, holds onto it, and that wise man puts it out. Isn't it? Here that is what is told. As these insects, on account of ripening of their earlier noble deeds, one is lifted away by a compassionate person, and having got under the shadow of a tree on the bank of that river, relax at ease. So is the case of the seeker coming in contact with the teacher. You think all the good things that have happened in our life, have they happened because you desired it, or they happened because of the grace of the Lord? Think. No, I did it. Then it's arrogance. We will accept it, but we'll put it under the heading of arrogance. Everything, including getting your parents. How did that cat come into our house? She was born on a farm somewhere 150 kilometers away from here, and her siblings were taken away, only 2 were left, and someone showed the photograph, and then mom decided, okay, this one, and 2 days later she was here. See? How? Comes, listens to satsangs. She's got a fantastic life. Even I can't have that type of life. Because I have to keep running around after her. It's the other way around. See? Comes at the door, we open the door. She stands from inside at the door, we again open the door. She comes and stands on this door, we open the door. Go and eat. Who thinks so many cats are there in this country, which are in the wild also, but why only this one came here? See? So it cannot, I chose. It is not that way. So, similarly, what is the way out of this misery? It is when your good karmas ripen, and what is the result of when the good karmas ripen? You come across a teacher, you come across a master, you come across the scriptures, you come across some person who is able to guide your mind in the right direction. You don't know who. Yeah, I keep telling, I was doing 13, 14 years I was doing my sadhana, and then I took one-way ticket to Himalayas, India. And I didn't know where. I knew this much fully well that I cannot decide who my teacher is. It has to happen. The teacher has to find me. But I am not going to sit idly not looking for a teacher. When it has to happen, it will click. How it will click, what is the prerequisite, what will I feel when, so that I know that it has clicked, I don't know the answers. I don't know the answers. Nobody knows the answers. But when it happens, you just know. You just know it. Just like you just know, now it is time to sleep. You just know it is time to, that I am hungry. From where did the hunger come? Can you find out from where it came? Can you pinpoint the process of appearance of hunger in your stomach? In hers we can. We start hearing sounds. No. Can you pinpoint what is that which wakes you up in the morning? It is grace that you did wake up. You didn't permanently sleep.
Alarm.
What?
Alarm.
Alarm. There are many people who sleep in spite of the alarm. See? The shloka conveys a warning to the spiritual seeker to guard himself from falling prey to a spiritual arrogance. It is well to remember that every little step in one's spiritual path is by the Lord's grace and not by one's effort alone. So what does Karma Yoga say? What is the first step in Karma Yoga? Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Second chapter tells you. Do the action but do not expect the result. I told you before also, our mind only functions in the past and the future. Those are only two. If it comes into the present moment, in the now, no thought, no desire. So if you are continuously thinking, the ego is equal to the summation of the past. Longer the past, the bigger the ego. And it keeps striving for more and more and planning more and more. That is the future. So, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, when you are not expecting the future results to be in a particular way, 50% of your mind has been purified of anxieties, of stresses, of planning. Plan you may still, but there is no anxiety with regards to the result. I will do my best. Yesterday one kid came. He scored 99.95. Yesterday that guy who came? No, you were not there. He used to come to my classes here. He's come in the whole Victoria, he's in the top. 99.95. It's obscene score. You can't even imagine 99.95. His father said, Swamiji, tell us something. It's all started here. I said, what can I tell? I said, don't let it get to your head. Marks do not make you successful. Profession does not make you successful. Good character makes you successful. So be a good person. And his father was telling that for last 1.5 years, while he was preparing for his exams, if he's not able to do a certain sum or not able to solve a particular equations and not able to understand something in physics, whatever subjects he had, he used to go into extreme sadness or anger and then come out of it, then he feels inspired, then he goes and does it. So it was too much of fluctuation. I said, that's not good. If that becomes your habit, the mental asylum is not far. I said what was to be told. He says, yes, Swamiji, being good is more important than being successful. Success is not coming because of your efforts. Success is coming because you have deserved it. And he knows that if I give it to him, it is time for it to be given to him. So first step, do not expect the results. Then the mind gets 50% purified of the future thoughts. So only 50% thoughts are left, which is of the past. In that purified mind, a new revelation comes about. What is the revelation? Revelation is, Are Baba, all the thoughts that are coming, all the actions that are happening, all the desires that are erupting, all the breathing that is happening, because of someone it is happening, it's not me. I have been thinking that I am doing everything, but I think there is some X factor there. See? What is that? Oh, it must be the Lord. Because it cannot be a ghost. So we call it a Lord, some higher power. But this recognition will not come if our mind is not quietened of the number of thoughts. When the thoughts slow down, then this new ability to recognize that everything in our life is happening because of some higher power. Then what does such a person do? Then such a person starts performing. Still, the I is not gone. He's still performing the actions. He's not expecting the results. But now his attention is before the actions, he thinks of the Lord. During the actions, he offers the action to the Lord, and the result also he offers it to the Lord. In this process, what happens? Even that 50% of the past memories, they start becoming weaker and weaker. If the memories become weak, there is less eruption of desires. As a result, the I becomes weaker and weaker, because the longer the past, the bigger is the I, ego. The ego starts becoming weak because the past is becoming, it's getting purified of the thoughts. How is past getting purified of the thoughts? The mind is getting purified. And somewhere along the way, then you realize, whom I am calling, either you call it God realization or self-realization, it's one and the same thing. So there are a few more steps in between, but this is important. So here what is being told, that do not fall to spiritual ignorance, arrogance, that you have become spiritual, that you have come to this point, that you have created opportunities for yourself, that you have understood. See? No, don't get into that. Everything that is happening, even understanding that is happening, is because of the Lord. The fact that I am able to explain also is because of His grace. This has to be remembered not afterwards, while speaking. Every moment that poise has to be maintained. Sat karma paripakat, by the grace of the Lord, and when some punya karma done somewhere ripens and is ready for fructification at the right moment, karuna nidhina uddhartaha. Some compassionate person happens to notice that poor insect struggling to get out of his misery and takes pity on him, and therefore prapya tira daruj hayam vishramyanti yatha sukham. He lifts that insect out and puts it under a tree where the insect is take a breath of relaxation. Thank God, now I'm not, no water coming, no coming. See? We saw the story of the 10 blind people. who cross the river, and when they cross the river, they say, "Arey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Arey, where's the 10th one?" The second one says, 1, 2, 3, 4, again 9. All the 10 people count and they find only 9 people. Swamiji, how you are contradicting 10 people? I am looking at them. And then they started crying that we have lost one person who has drowned in the river. A wise man. From where did he come? Why did he come? Who sent him? It happened. Isn't it? And he comes and tells, "Arey, don't worry, don't cry. The moment you, all 10 of you are here." What? All 10 of you are here? Yeah. You forgot to count yourself. Count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And at that moment he told that instruction only to one. All 10 got realized. Isn't it? All the sorrow of all the 10 went away. But from where did that teacher come? Where did that passerby come from? How did you get the information that I am taking classes here? Suddenly it came to you, isn't it?
Well, within a fortnight I met you again.
Somehow it happened. See? How it happened, I don't know. We come across so many people in our life. We have not planned. And they just come into our life, they teach us something, and then we never meet them again, forever. Some of them are like that. See, yesterday I was just telling I was at his house. There the phone call came from Delhi. 37 years ago, my year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, we studied together. Nursery to year 4. He found out, after 37 years he called me yesterday. We have not talked to each other. Oh, it was such a joy. Would he have got the number? He may have, but he put efforts. He went and found out which are the places where he can get. Maybe I have contacted them. Maybe ex-students group I have been there. And eventually it came to him. What is the cause of this Vishranti? That compassionate man chanced to be there at that moment, not by request, but by a strange coincidence called the God's grace. Only by chance coincidence, which we call as God's grace. Everything is God's grace. We have dinner tonight by God's grace. Our God is Lalita. Tonight. At retreat we will have a good sumptuous breakfast, lunch and dinner by God's grace.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. That's right. Inshallah. See? But you say, everything in life, good and bad, happens without apparent logic or reason. When a saint or a sage comes into the life of a spiritual seeker, there is no logic for it. In 2002, I went to India for 1 year. I went to Swamiji. I said, "Kya karna hai? Should I get you an ashram?" I said, "Swamiji, spare me." He said, "So what do you want to do?" I just kept quiet. He says, "In Bombay that Prempuri ashram is there, you want me to organize your lectures there?" I didn't answer. He says, "There is a yoga ashram in Lonavala, they have a branch in Alibag, and there it's a huge mango grove, one kutia, nobody will come and talk to you, you can do your sadhana there. You want to go there? I'll organize it right now." I didn't answer. Then he said, "There is a place in Badrinath, you know Swami Balanandji? You met Balanandji. You know where we stayed? That Bengali Baba ashram. So the Swamiji there?
Yeah, we met one.
Yes, that one. So he said, you want to go there to do sadhana? I said, Swamiji, I have already initiated that, but if you can also put a word, then it will be good. He sent me there. Then when I finished from there, he says, अच्छा आप क्या कर रहे हो? मैंने कहा I don't know. अच्छा go to Vrindavan, stay there for till I call you next. Went to Vrindavan, Akhandanandji's ashram, stayed there for 2.5, 3 months. Then in between I will call him. हाँ स्वामीजी. So स्वामीजी अब क्या कर रहे हो? अब क्या करना है? Enough of traveling or you want to travel more? What do you want to do? I said whatever you say. So he says, अच्छा you go to Varanasi. So he sent me to Varanasi. There I stayed for 6 months under some teacher. Then what do I do? Acha, you go to Girnar. In Girnar, one Swamiji was there. He says, he blessed me also, you also take blessings from him. He's a Kundalini master. So he will initiate. I'll tell him. And imagine, now think about this. I don't know if I was telling you or that, yeah, I was telling you that from Varanasi when I went to Girnar, I was to get to that ashram 5 days later or 4 days later, because I had to stay in Baroda for 2 days. But the moment I got into the train from Varanasi, one mantra started in my head. I had never heard of that mantra. Hari Om Tat Sat Jai Guru Datta. From where? I don't know. But it won't leave me. It made me mad because I couldn't even sleep at night in the train. I'm going on. And when I reached that ashram 4 days later, outside the gate, huge Hari Om Tat Sat Jai Guru Datta. Oh my God. That is the mantra which was given to that master by Lord Dattatreya himself. How does this happen? I don't know. Can you work out? It is because I was going there, so it happened. Forget it, man. So when we start looking, these are very big incidences. A simple thing, very close to ourselves. Breathing is happening by itself, seeing is happening by itself, hearing is happening by itself, digestion is happening by itself, hunger happens by itself. All these physiological functions and breathing functions and thinking functions, thought coming and going, desires coming and going, all are happening. You have not initiated them, they just come. The grace of the Lord. So therefore, once this knowledge is firmly rooted, then there is Vishranti and a sense of total relaxation and comfort with whatever events happen in life. Such a person, when he comes to this final conclusion, it goes deep into his heart that whatever is happening in my life is because of the God's grace. I cannot change even an iota. I may feel that I can change, but still, even that change is initiated by the divine alone. See? That's when Vishranti, that's when contentment comes. Nothing to gain, nothing to lose. You are in peace at any place, at any time, with anyone, and with yourself. That is Vishranti. That is called Masti. Absolute contentment. Humility and surrender alone help in spiritual unfoldment. 3 qualities are essential in a spiritual seeker and indeed rare to find together. First is Manushyatvam. Manushyatvam is to be a human being. We may call ourselves to be a human being, but a human being is, Manushya is Mana Ayushyati Manushya. The one who has controlled his mind is worthy to be called as a human being, to Manushya. If you have not controlled your mind, you are worse than an animal. So have we controlled? Because only in a controlled mind, only in a restrained mind, the noble qualities have a chance to flourish. But if that mind is stirred all the time at the mercy of the desires, mercy of likes and dislikes, where's the question of good qualities and character to be expressing itself? It's not possible. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, the ladder of fall is given. Where your eyes see something, you get attached to the object, that object invokes a desire within you. The desire, if satisfied, leads to greed. Greed cannot be satisfied, so it will lead to anger. And if desire is not satisfied, it will still lead to anger. Anger leads to delusion. Delusion leads to loss of memory. Loss of memory leads to lack of discrimination. And lack of discrimination, where the man does not know what is right and wrong in life, is the fall of man. And what is the other way? Satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan mukti. Bhaj Govindam, Govindam bhaja mudamte. So what is the antidote for this? Go to a satsang. What happens when you go to satsang? Your delusions are removed. Our topic for Hobart for last 2 trips was redefining the notions of life based on Bhaj Govindam, all the work. So Shankaracharya is breaking away your notions, hammering away. Therefore it is called Moha Mudgara.
This is control of mind. That also should happen because of God's grace.
Yes. So yes, you have understood that you should control your mind. But when will you start?
That
When will it happen?
will happen.
When you start, only then it will happen, no? Otherwise it's happening every day. Every night you go, you control the mind and go to sleep. You become very single pointed when you go to sleep. You are thinking only of the sleep. To go to sleep, you have to be single pointedly thinking of it, in spite of doing everything. Technology you have, ability you have, all you have to do is apply it in the right direction. It will not happen just by. So the idea that I must control my senses and mind, that will also be grace of the Lord alone. Yes. Where was it, in Bhagavatam or somewhere? I gave that example. One lady in Melbourne who has done Devi Upasana for many years, 15-20 years she has been doing Devi Upasana. She lives in her home, in one room. I told in Bhagavad, I think. She lives in her home, in her room. Doesn't talk to her husband, doesn't talk to her children. The husband had to organize the daughter's wedding. She is not interested in anything. She donates all her money to various organizations. Where did that? I have been to her place, I have eaten from her hands. Very loving person, very focused person. See? But when did that flip? When did that click take place? That she should live her life totally for the Lord, totally for the infinite, totally for self-realization. So first is Manushyatvam. Manushyatvam is have good qualities. To be a good person is to control your mind. And in the controlled mind is an expanded mind. Controlled mind is a purified mind. Only in such a purified mind noble qualities will come forth. In an agitated mind, good qualities will not come. And therefore regular meditation to calm the mind down is necessary. You won't realize, but a long-term effect is automatically a sense of well-being, a sense of good feeling about yourself. Then second is mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam is an intense desire to liberate in life. So having gained the right qualities, you know that I do not disturb the world by thought, word or deed, nor do I get disturbed by the world by anyone's thought, word and deed. First step. Then you are a good person. So you are not getting disturbed, nor you are disturbing. What's the next step? Mumukshutvam. Now your energies are not wasted. So those energies are being directed towards wanting to pursue liberation. You understand that liberation is only by the grace. That what I have done till now, not disturb the world, not get disturbed by the world, is also by the grace of the Lord alone. But the ego has not melted away completely. So ego is putting the efforts, knowing that these efforts that it is putting are also because of His grace alone. But rather than say that I will not put any efforts and let the grace flow, then it will lead to laziness, it will lead to inertia. Inertia is no good. You need to be dynamic in order for things to move. What are you saying?
Isn't that enough for liberation, that you think it's the grace of a God which is there with you every moment?
Yes.
So then what's
Then
the
don't-
difference between the intense desire to liberate and you striving for it in the first place?
That with every breath, with every thought, only the thought of liberation is there in your mind. Then if someone comes into your kitchen, you will not react. If someone says, what is this dosa, what all you have put into the dosa, sorry, you will not say that then. Sit quietly and eat. If you are, I'm just making a joke of the incident, but if you are reacting to the world, understand our abidance in that idea that everything is by the grace of the Lord has not happened. If our disposition is that everything is by the grace of the Lord, then there will be absolute contentment in every situation of your life, including being angry with someone. Because you know that the mind is getting angry and you are apt. Initially it will, as long as the ego is there, it will keep calm, it will keep quiet. So mumukshutvam, intense desire to liberate. This intense desire to liberate will not come until and unless the previous step was what? Recognition that everything is happening by the grace of the Lord. Then who is this because of whom this grace is happening all the time? I want to know him. I want to know it. I want to know her. Whatever is your definition of God. It's not enough that I know. I want to experience. I want to be one with that. Because of whom the grace is. And they say it is my nature. Then I want it now. I don't want it tomorrow. But the onslaught of thoughts has not stopped. You may have controlled it, and because of that the conviction is there, the idea, you have become available to that idea, but that idea has not become deeply rooted in your being. And therefore, mumukshutvam. Slowly build up that momentum so that you replace all other desires with one desire, and that is, I want to liberate while living, not after death, while living. Nobody is liberated after death. There is only rebirth after death. I want to liberate right here and now, not at the last breath. Right here and now. What is stopping me? I understand everything, I am clear about everything. I know grace is all the time. I know the wave is infinite waters at any given moment. Then if this individual me is pervaded by that infinite, then where is the difficulty in me being that infinite? Keep thinking, keep contemplating till you exhaust all options. Yeah.
And what if you don't believe in a rebirth?
You may not. You may not. Still there will be rebirth, don't worry. Because you have come with a baggage. What is the baggage? You are born in India. That baggage already predetermines the reincarnation and all those. You may, at this moment, you may not believe, but it is there in your deep psyche. Just like you say, just now you say, I am totally convinced that the truth is at this moment, right now, the grace is there. But is it enough? Is it become your permanent experience that you are not thinking of anything else? Are you seeing oneness everywhere, or are you still seeing duality? So that means that conviction has not turned into a experience, and that conviction is not even deep enough. That because you are not invoking that intense desire to liberate. Intense desire to liberate does not mean पागलों की तरह सबके किसी के पीछे. That may be one expression. It can be absolutely calm and quiet also, doing everything as you do normally. But you have to come to know. Nobody can tell you. The scriptures can give you only certain guidelines and symptoms, but only you know whether you are an intense desirer of liberation or not. So when you have intense desire to liberate, I can give you only my journey. When that feeling came, meditation was happening 3, 4, 5 hours at nights. What next? Why it is not still happening? When I come out of the meditation, still the world is there. Still the problems are there. But in the meditation, absolute peace. Then what do? And then one day, by the grace of the Lord, the reverberation that was going on in the head, study scriptures, study scriptures, study scriptures. So when this happens, you come to an acharya. You come to study whatever. Whether someone gives you a mantra to start chanting, someone teaches you, in our case, the contemplation on the scriptures happen. Acharya, the one who teaches you scriptures or initiates you in something, could be the realized master also. But if it is not so, then find out one, come across, be available to a realized master. How do you know? He will come into your life. He will come into your life. So that is the last part is Mahapurusha Sanshraya. Company of great people, company of saints and sages, company of wise people. And so that continuously your thoughts are geared towards liberation. Continuously your thoughts and mind are getting the right direction. You are reminded again and again and again. You go out there into the world, suddenly the whole world makes you think the way it wants you to think. You forget. Like some people when they come to retreats or come to the Swamiji, that was fantastic, but it lasts only for 6-7 hours. After the retreat, it lasts for maybe a week or two. I need one more after that. Why? Because you go to a campfire or you go to a heater, you get the heat. When you are near the heat, you feel nice and warm. Cold goes away. But the moment you feel that now I am warm enough and you move away from the heat, again the cold catches you. Similarly, when you are in satsang, you are protected from negative thoughts. You are protected from extroverted thoughts, worldly thoughts. But the moment you move away from satsang, again the extroverted thoughts catch you. That's the whirlpool. So therefore, Mahapurusha Sanshraya, the last step. So first was Manushyatvam, be a good person, be a sadhu purusha. be a person with good character, good moral, good principles. Do not disturb the world, do not get disturbed by the world. When you have done that, then invoke an intense desire to liberate. Mumukshutvam. And the last is Mahapurusha Sanshraya. Without the company of saints and sages, without the grace of gurus and their guidance, we will lose the path. Yes, the Guru principle is within our heart, no doubt about it. But who tells you that? The Gurus only tell you, no? Scriptures also tell us. But sometimes we believe them, sometimes we don't believe them. But when a person of that stature comes into your life, you feel in awe of that person. That person's words are able to make an impact on your mind because of your faith, because of your surrender, because of your belief. See? So Arjuna, when he says, please show me, tell me what is for my absolute good, because I am your disciple and I am surrendered to your feet, O Krishna. I am your disciple and I am surrendered to your feet. So he not only accepted in that one moment Krishna as his teacher, but also as a person who could take him beyond. If Krishna was not there, could Arjuna, by reading books, he has already studied all the scriptures, could Arjuna have gone through the understanding and the process that the Bhagavad Gita takes one's mind from karma to the jnana and to the, even in the 11th chapter, the Vishwarup Darshan, could Arjuna, by reading a book, have had that experience? Is it possible? Could this idiot who asked his teacher, Swamiji, when will I get a mind like yours which can pluck verses from every scripture and put it in the right context? And that great Mahatma Ji, he says next day, I was also thinking, when will my mind, even if it wants to think, is not able to think like your mind? So you want to have a mind like mine, and I want to have a mind like you, which is naturally empty. Which is naturally empty. That day, this worm this virus which was troubling me, that why am I not able to remember? We want to finish off our memory, and I am trying to collect more memory of shlokas. So it is naturally not there. Only a Mahatma can tell you that. Otherwise another one will come to my ashram, I'll teach you. See? So Mahapurusha Sanshraya, association with great masters, being in the company of great masters. So study the scriptures. That person may be a realized master who is teaching you scriptures, or there are acharyas. How does the acharya come into your life? Does not matter. If you have chosen one teacher and you found out that he is a good one, go and study under that person. But then be available for a realized master. See? And in this way, when by the Lord's grace the seeker realizes the importance of saints and sages in his spiritual progress, he approaches the teacher for guidance. This is stated in the next shloka. Upadeshamavapyaivam acharya tattvadarshinaha पंचकोश विवेकेन लभन्ते निर्वृतिं पराम Having got the instructions from the Acharya and a man of realization, by the process of discrimination of the five sheaths, one attains supreme liberation. Tattvadarshinaha acharyat upadesham avapya. Upadesham means, upa means near, desha means space. So you come and sit close. Sit close to what? To the tattva, to the self. How to sit? Come and sit close to the self. Can you come and sit close to the self by reading the book? You are involved. Can you come and sit close while listening? Can you? Yes. That is why in our scriptures, in our gurukulas, by word of mouth the knowledge is transferred, not by book to mind. So while the teacher is speaking, you put your attention on what is that because of which hearing is possible. There and then it will happen. But what happens to us? We are lost in the words and collecting information. That is what is happening to us. That, yeah, this is good. Oh, that is good. Acha, this, he said it like that. How come here it is told like this? No, that is not the purpose. And therefore, Shravanam. If Shravanam is done correctly, Mananam and Nidhyasam is not required. Mananam and Nidhyasam is not required. If Yama is done correctly, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, nothing is required. You straight away from Yama, you jump to Samadhi. Straight away. All the steps vanish from in between. If you do the first one correctly. But because we don't do it correctly, so then the gaps have to be filled. So the next step comes up. So what is Upadesham? Upadesham means instructions by a teacher. What is instruction? That which takes you near to yourself. If you come here and I start talking about share market and the horse race and the food and where you get cheap vegetables, I have all that information, no doubt. Where to buy the fridge, where to buy the bed, where to buy the onions and potatoes and tomatoes. I am adept at all fields. But if by conversation every time you come is only that, it's not going to give you. First time it may be hilarious, it will be nice. Second time also you may bear the same thing. But third time, isn't it? It's only the thought of the self. Because these words that are being spoken are reminding you about yourself. That is bringing you. It's not me, it's not the scripture. It's those words in the scriptures which are, and if you are alert, if you are attentive, it's bringing you closer to yourself. Then don't just stay at that point. No, it must become my direct experience. It must become my direct experience. That which takes you away from the self, that which does not bring you near to the self is apadesh. That which brings you closer to yourself, it is called upadesh. And when he has studied the scriptures, when he has, our Bhagwan Ramakrishna Paramhans, he had studied so much, he knew, he has done so much puja, He used to see the Mahakali in his mind all the time. She was always sitting there. He needed the grace of a great master, Totapuri Maharaj, to experience what? Formless, attributeless experience of the reality. What is this Vedanta, Vedanta, Vedanta? He had gone through Christianity, Islam, he has taken the form of a Radha, he had done so many different sadhanas, yoga, bhakti, everything he has done. And then in the end he said, I want to experience what this Vedanta teaches. How is it possible? I am not able to get rid of the goddess. I'm still seeing the form, I am still seeing the attributes of her. How do I go beyond? At that time, he didn't go and search, he was still there. The teacher appeared. Totapuri Maharaj. You have read his biography? Yeah. Totapuri Maharaj came. And 3 days he was in Samadhi. Who? Bhagavan Ramakrishna Paramahansa. See? So, to convert knowledge, first you get knowledge. If the clarity is not there, what is the path that you have to follow? Yeah, God grace is everywhere. That is there. But are you able to hold on to it all the time? Are you live in abandonment? If you are not able to live in abandonment every moment of your existence, understand it has not gone deep yet. It's only at the intellectual level. And what is intellect? Where there is cause and effect. It needs to surrender. Therefore Arjuna surrendered. So even though in the second chapter Arjuna says, I am your disciple and I am surrendered at your feet. But it took him 18 chapters to fully in the end say, whatever your will, I will do that. See, it took him 18 chapters. It didn't straight away say it, because so many questions were still there, unresolved. So you need to come across or pray to the Lord, bring the right person in my life, oh Lord, so that all my cobwebs are cleared. And once cobwebs are cleared, there is no question of realization, you are it. So first, study the scriptures. Sort out your mind, put the intellect in its right place, make the right windows. So you know, the moment we say Sattva Rajamasa, tak tak tak, is there, we understand. So what is the tamas? Inertia, inadvertence, procrastination, laziness. Done. Expand, you can expand afterwards, but you know the basics. Once you know the basics, you understand this is how my mind has got deluded with this. If you just keep thinking and waiting, so many different thoughts are coming in your mind. How do you create a pathway to come out of it? Very difficult. It's like a word, bhool bhulaiya ko kya bolte hain? A maze. The mind is in a maze. Like that Rubik's Cube at his house. You play. Last time I purposely spoiled it and kept it. He has fixed it again. He knows how to get there. The concept is clear in his mind. But for a layman, it is not clear. I can keep trying. Isn't it? But for whom it is clear, in whatever mess you give it to him, he will fix it straight away. The one who knows how to cook, whatever, however you have spoiled the vegetable or dal or the dish, the one who knows can fix it straight away, isn't it? So who can fix your mind? Realized masters. They can fix your intellect. You need to surrender that intellect at a higher order, at the Guru principle. Must have one in your life. So here when it says Upadesham avapyaivam acharya tattvadarshanaha, the one who has had the vision of the self, of the essence, he is tattvadarshana, what we say as realized master. How do you know who is a realized master? Google search. Google search. One thing is you go with surrender, but the other is you must ask questions also. Don't go like a sheep behind anyone in this world. Which one is for you, you don't know. Be available to everyone, but pray to the Lord, Lord, show me the one who can fix me up permanently. Is it inside? Is it outside? Is it every experience of this world that Guru Maharaj? Is it one particular person? I am not going to make a decision. Lord, you do it for me. Because once I make a decision, then ego has made a decision. Like one person came to me. He used to come to the class. And then one day he came with his family. Swamiji, I come to take Ashirwad. I said, good, come. Gave them some fruit and everything. They also brought me some sweet meat. I said, Acha, what is the news? Oh, we have made this person our Guru. We have made this person our Guru. So we went to this place and asked this person that we want to be initiated by you, and we took his initiation. Now we are suffering. I'm not saying they are suffering, but the point is the arrogance that I made. What should be the attitude? That Mahatma initiated me, isn't it? And I feel blessed. Not I made him my Guru. It's an attitudinal change also. How you look. From the attitude of the ego when it is extrovert is different. Everything is I. When it recognizes everything is the grace, its attitude is all by His grace. It's all by His grace. The I doesn't come.